Hello everyone. Today we're gonna study or learn how to use loop statement in C programming language. Loop, the loop statement in programming in general, it's the most important statement for any programmer. Why we use loop statement in C programming language? So we're gonna study loop statement. Okay. Of course, we use a loop statement in C programming to repeat our task, our target statement as long as a given condition is true. If your program or your task need to be repeated, you will need to use a loop statement. In programming language, we have three type of loops. The first one is while loop. Second one is for loop statement. And the third one is do while loop statement. Our main target in this tutorial is to learn while loop statement. So this tutorial will focus on this type of loop, while loop statement. As I said before, a while loop in C programming repeatedly executes a target statement as long as a given condition is true. I will show you the syntax of while loop in C programming. The syntax of while loop in C is as follows. You begin with the keyword of while loop, while, then you write your condition. This is the general form of the syntax of while loop. And here you can write your code block of while loop statement. Of course, a code block is between curly braces. Okay, in this area here, your task or your statements that gonna be repeated. Okay, here your code block that will gonna be repeated. Okay, now we are going to introduce some example on while loop syntax using programming language. Suppose you want to print a message, for example, 10 times to print this message. So your program will be as follow. Suppose you will need to print, for example, a message 10 times. Suppose your message is welcome to C. If you try this code, you try the following statement, the output of this code will be welcome to C. So we use the printf statement one time. If you want to use it several times, you want to repeat this statement, you will need for a loop statement. As we said before, this statement I will include it inside the code block of while loop. Simply, you can write while loop. Here will be the condition. Start your loop, your code block, and end your code block. Okay? As we said before, this loop is gonna be executed as long as this condition is true. Okay? That's mean you need to put here a condition to control the sequence of this loop. If you want to print this statement, for example, 10 times, so you need to put here a condition to allow this loop to run 10 times. Once this condition is false, this code will be skipped and your program will the another statement after the code block of this loop. Okay? Suppose your condition is if A less than, for example, 10 and A is equal to 0, I will initialize A by 0. Of course, you need to declare A as integer, variable, A equals 0. You have a loop. This condition is as follow. If A is less than 10, it will return a true value. Then this code will be executed. Once will be executed, after execution, your loop will go again to test the condition inside this loop. If it's true, it will be repeated. Okay? As I said before, it will be repeated as long as this condition is true. In this case, this loop will be infinite loop. Since A equals 0, and 0 is less than to 10, it will return a true value. Then this statement will execute. After execution, it will test again your condition, and you found that A is still a 0 value. So this condition is always you will get a true value. Okay? And to stop this loop after certain condition or after certain amount of times. How many times you will run this loop? You need to put a flag, a counter to count each time you run the code statement inside the while loop. So after your statement executed, you need to increment your counter. Your counter here is the variable A. So you need to say A++. A++, it will increment the variable A by 1. Okay? At each execution, the A variable, it will be incremented by 1. Let's say initially a equals 0, 0 less than 10, a true, it will return a true value. So this code will be executed. Printf welcome to C. On the screen you will see welcome to C. Okay. A plus plus, it will be 1 incremented by 1. This statement is equivalent to a equal a plus 1. Okay. After the end of your code inside the while loop, you will test again the condition. If this condition is true, it will be run again. 1 is less than to 0. Welcome to C, it will be printed again. A plus plus, it will be 2. 2 less than to 10, it will be again, run again. This statement will come to C, it will printed 10 times on the screen. 10 times. Okay. Let us check our code. Debug, build, compile. You have 0 errors. Then you can debug, run your program. As you can see, welcome to C, it's printed 10 times. To show your output clearer, I will put \n after welcome to C. Run it again. Your output will be as follow. Welcome to C 10 times. So your statement will printf welcome to C is the repeated statement which you're gonna be inserted inside the while loop. Okay. If you want to input 10 numbers, if you want to input 10 numbers, you will input a number. Then to input a number, you will need for scanf statement. Suppose your number is an integer variable, for example, the integer variable is x. Of course, you need to declare the variable x. We have these two statements to input a number, and you need to input a 10 numbers by using a loop. I will use while loop. We need to enter 10 numbers. Your counter will be a less than to 10. If you want to enter, let's say, 3 numbers, okay, I will decrease our condition to 3. Let's test our code. As you can see, input a number, for example, 5. Once you press enter on scanf statement, the following statement a++ will be executed. The a will be 1. 1 is less than to 3. Your condition will return a true value. So this body of while will be executed again. So you will got a printf statement again and put a number. Let's say 10. A++ will be 2. 15. Enter again. A++ is 3. 3 less than 3 is false. 3 is equal to 3. So your code of inside the while loop will be skipped. You can write here after the while loop printf, just for clarification or educational. The program is end. Okay, let's run our code again and input a three different number, for example 15, 16, 8. Once you enter your last number, you will see that your program is end after 3 iterations of your loop. Okay, this kind of while loop is called or named counter controlled while loop. This kind of loop is called counter controlled while loop. Why counter controlled while loop? Because this loop has a counter A, which is responsible to terminate the repetition of this loop. If you don't have a counter, your loop will be an infinite loop. To terminate your loop, you will use a counter controlled while loop. Let's generalize the syntax of counter controlled while loop. Okay, you will begin by initialization. Initialize your counter, semicolon, while your condition start of your code block and end of your code block, and before the end of your code block, you need to write the step. Okay, let us discuss this syntax of counter controlled while loop. What I mean by initialize, you need to initialize your counter. Your counter in this example is A. Okay, and initialized by A equals 0. Initialize, in other words, is to set or reset your counter. I set my counter A equal to 0. Your condition will be on this counter, which is A. Okay, A less than our desired target or repetition iteration is 3. Then you will need to specify the step of your counter. Is your counter incremented or decremented? You will need to specify it in the step expression. Your counter may be incrementing, increment, or decrement counter. Maybe A++ or A minus minus decrement. Increment by 1 or decrement by 1. Okay. Since we initialized by A equals 0, and your final value of A is 3, you will need to increment plus plus. If you work in descending order, that's mean if you need to count in descending countdown timer, for example, or you need to count down, you need to start by A equals 3 and count down 3, 2, 1, 0. Here, your step will be a minus minus, a minus minus. Of course, your condition will be changed. Okay, will be changed to a greater than 0. Okay, so this is the syntax of while loop of this type of while loop, counter controlled while loop. So in this tutorial, we focused only on while loop, especially on counter controlled while loop. Maybe next video will or next tutorial will discuss or learn the another type of while loop. Okay. Thank you guys. See you next time.